All right, YouTube says we're live. I got some funky glare from some of the lights, so I apologize about that. This will be a very short live feed, but I wanted to say a quick thank you. It's one of the cool things. That's one of the really cool things about our industry. Hey Nick, how are you? It's one of the cool things about our industry is people's willingness to help, oftentimes when not even prompted or asked. And that goes, a lot of you guys see that when guys are out on the road looking to help, whether it's a breakdown, backing a trailer in, whatever it might be. It's a cool thing to see. And I want to say a personal thank you to a few guys. Lil Dawg, Canell, Viking Trucker, I know have all posted some videos kind of touting the new channel and just kind of sending guys over here, creating some awareness and some visibility that the channel is at a different spot, same name, and that kind of thing. And if there are others that I've not seen their videos, and if you guys have, let me know, and I want to thank them in this video as well. It's a pretty humbling experience, honestly, because the driving community, as you guys know, can be a pretty tight community. And for me, obviously not being a driver, you oftentimes I sort of have that sense of you're sort of the outsider looking in, and that's what a lot of the content is derived from, right? Is from the other side. But to see guys step up and recommend to others to come to the channel is a big deal. Honestly, it's a really humbling thing. This morning, Indiana Jack, who has a very strong subscriber base, produces a lot of these guys produce some really strong content. But for Indiana Jack to take time to post a video specifically about this channel is incredibly humbling. It really is. And so I appreciate all these guys for taking time to do it. It really is. May, I'm going to thank you too. So guys, sincerely, I really appreciate it. Sincerely. Again, there's a lot of times when it's, I've had people ask, hey, you're going to go to the truck show, you're going to do this, and I haven't. Again, it's not really kind of my thing. It's not my community, so to speak, as I'm not a driver. But I appreciate it. It's really neat to hear guys like Indiana Jack and others saying that they enjoy the content, they appreciate it, there's value to them. That feels good, right? We all like to have people say good things to us and pat us on the back and that kind of stuff. But in times like this, it's really appreciated. It really is. For a week there or so there, I was really debating whether or not to do this. So-Cal, I'm going to throw you out there too. I just saw your comment. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. It is frustrating, guys, to have produced the content with the intent of trying to help guys within our industry, and then to sort of have your legs cut out from underneath you by YouTube for a lot of that content. And shame on me for not backing it up. Shame on me. I do have a few videos from the previous channel that I'll slowly push back up. I'll try to redo that. A lot of the content, a lot of it was lost, but I appreciate it. I really, really do. Thank you guys for doing that. Thank you guys for sending people back over. The channels, I don't know, where I looked a little bit ago, 12, 1,300, something like that. So-Cal, back it up, man. I'm telling you, storage is cheap. It really is. And May says that he wrote in a bathroom stall at the pilots that I was back. So thank you. I'm not sure which bathroom stall, but that's funny. Thank you. the intent, I think, for a lot of these channels is to genuinely help. I mean, look, there's an entertainment component to probably all of our channels. But I think by and large, a lot of people are out here to try to help other people succeed. And I think that's what's really cool. To have guys in the industry that are highly respected and very visible on YouTube to take time out, to do that is really cool. Indiana Jack specifically, as I chatted with him this morning, I've had a few other people, say, look, he just doesn't do that. He's not done that. He's not done that for anybody else. And so so that's really appreciated, right? It is, I will say that, I do feel a little more pressure to want to try to create good content to help others within our industry. And you're right, So-Cal, it is truckers helping truckers. And in this case, like I said, I'm not a driver, but hopefully the content does help others that are out there. So I just wanted to take time to kind of extend a personal thank you. I've called each one of these people individually, except for Red Viking. He's on a kind of a funky schedule with doing his stuff at night, but I'm gonna send a personal message to him as soon as I get done. But for the rest, I just wanted to take the time for everybody to really just say thank you. Let's see here. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it. Doris, thank you. Hi. Todd Hubbard says, heard about you from RVT. Yeah, that's cool. Like I said, I owe him a personal call. He and I kind of text some back and forth, so we'll catch up. We'll catch up live on the phone sometime or the other. Yeah, and here's the thing. It's funny that you mentioned that. Who was it that mentioned that? Daniel Quirk mentioned this. Yeah, I'm wearing this hat specifically because Red Viking made fun of my golfing hat. So that's why I donned it for this particular video, just to give him a little bit of grief. Yeah, Nick, there was a lot of content that was lost. There was some really good content, that was lost. And look, drivers are funny. Look, here's a good. I was having this conversation. In fact, earlier, I did a video. In fact, it's on this channel, and it's talks about turning perceived value into real value. And the content of that, I feel like, is really strong content. It's a good message for drivers. The funny thing is, right, is the thumbnail, and I can't change it for some reason yet. The thumbnail is me swinging a golf club. And it's not going to get a lot of views, right, because there's a picture. I guarantee you if I throw a picture of a sweet custom ride on that truck, it's probably going to get good views. So I'll get better on how I market the videos. But, and I use some sports analogies within that. I use a lot of sports analogies in my content as it is. In that particular one, I happened to be on a golf course when I was talking about turning perceived value into real value. So I'll try to get better to market this so that you guys can see the content. Like I said, I'll do my part, or at least I'll do my best to try to improve the content and helping guys understand profitability from their business, maybe how to be more successful as I see it from my side of the steering wheel. I'll answer a few questions here and then I'll let you go. Hey, by the way, the world hasn't ended, right? Today's the day the world's supposed to end. So I guess the day's not over. So technically, we still have a few hours left to dodge, but I thought that was cool to wake up this morning. Red Blood Trucker says, you're one of the few channels that puts out consistent, useful information. You can be an honorary driver. Awesome. As Howard mentioned last night, yeah, Joe Harding, Indiana Jack is the real deal for sure. It was nice to catch up with him this morning. As Howard mentioned last night, I do drive trucks around the yard, backing trailers into docks. I did put a nice crease in our shop, and then I promptly jumped out and went in pencil, wrote on the sheet metal that Charlie was responsible for that. I didn't want to take responsibility for it. Let's see. John Hill says PSA. Yeah, I did see your comment last night. I saw it on some other social media. For those of you guys that are heading up to Pennsylvania, there's an 80-mile detour. If you didn't catch that, the Pennsylvania Turnpike is closed, or at least a portion of it is. Outlaw Trucker, how are you, man? Semper Fido, haven't seen you in a while. I haven't seen a lot of people in a while, right? Channel's just kind of getting back up. Thank you, Christopher. John Hull says, regarding the Pennsylvania closing, run 70 into PA possible, even 80 out of Ohio. It's going to cost you a lot of hours, so make sure you guys are aware of that. Let's see. Tara Lynn says, hello. I was one of the ones who gave you the sub from Indiana Jacks, or thank you to Indiana Jacks. Cool. Yeah, I appreciate that, Tara. You know, because there are some different subscribers coming, a lot of the older ones haven't found the channel yet. I do need to, I think Stu Stewart is the guy that mentioned, hey, it's probably a really good time now to do another introduction of kind of who I am and what we do and what angle I come from, because it is a very different perspective in many ways relative to numbers and profitability for drivers to be more successful. So I'll try to post that video maybe later this evening, and I'll probably put that up as the trailer to give some of the people that are coming over from other channels, be it Indiana Jacks or wherever. A lot of guys from Canell know me because he works for us, but I'll try to put up a new kind of intro video so you guys have a little different perspective and understanding of my background. Oklahoma Boy says, any update on lease program so I can go? You know, so do I want to announce this yet? Oklahoma Boy, I don't want to announce, I don't want to make the announcement yet. Give me another week or two and I'll have some updates relative to some of the changes that we are working on within our company, and that might have an impact, hopefully a positive impact to drivers. So hang tight on that. I don't want to announce anything just yet. Yeah, Nick, you know, somebody was, I think it was today, maybe it was somebody recently was telling me I need to go like Canell and get a green screen and have my background be my old office and that sort of stuff. And I mentioned that I won't. So the construction has started on my house. So that's good. I'm still several months away from being back into kind of my office environment at home. So I'm not there yet, and I can't wait for it to be done. And I've got quite a few months to go. So trust me, I'm just as excited to do that. But I don't think I'm going to be going Canell and putting up a green screen. Jim says, thank you for the content, past and present. Very, very beneficial to drivers, careers, and paychecks. Well, I'm glad, Jim. That's the point, right? That's the point, right? Is because I genuinely feel that if drivers in our industry are more successful, that's a good thing. If they're happier, that's a good thing. What we want is profitable, successful, happy drivers. That's what we want in our company. That's what we want in the industry. And so I am vocal about certain things that I think are very, I'll even say dangerous. That sounds dramatic, but I'm pretty vocal about certain things within our industry that I feel are wrong for drivers, that they should steer clear of, pun intended. No, John, it's not a McMansion at all. In fact, it is. So for those of you guys who don't know, I previously lived in Colorado. I sold the property there, and I'm down in Arizona. So I don't know how. I'm planning on being here for just a couple of years, and so I'm building a much smaller place than I had in Colorado. So Nick, yeah, so it's going to be a much smaller place. Maybe I'll end up using it kind of as vacation house. I don't know how things will play out. Time will tell. Assuming again we make it through September 23rd, right? We may just all croak tonight. But no, it's going to be a smaller place. But I will have an office in there, and I'll bring the trophies out whenever I get to bring it back down. Little guys in the house, how are you, man? I heard some news about you, and I don't know. I'm not going to say anything because I don't know what you've announced. But what I'll say is, you guys maybe check his channel out for some updating information. Maybe that's the best way to put it. How about that? Do people even build McMansions anymore? It's funny in Colorado. It seemed like some of the houses were just, absolute monsters that a lot of people were building. So it seems like they're either mansions or not. They're not really McMansions. Christopher Robertson says, as a fleet owner myself, I found your info useful. That's great. I appreciate that. Again, as you know, right, we see things from I'm not going to say both sides, but if we are good, for those that are carriers, that are executives or owners, I think if we are really good at our job, we are communicating with a lot of our drivers really consistently to understand the trials and the tribulations that they go through and what they face. And then for those that that kind of move on to that lease op or owner operator type role, we want those guys to be successful, whether it's at our company or not. There's a lot of companies that sort of have that mantra, that motto of bring them in, build them up, send them out. I think ultimately what we hope is that they stick around, right? That we are a good company for them to be at. That's ultimately what we want. But anyways, yeah. No, Nick, it wasn't vodka. There might have been some whiskey, but there wasn't vodka. Are your drivers company or owner operators? So Kevin, so right now, you guys are going to try to bait me. You guys are going to try to bait me into this information. I'm not going to. Right now, we have company drivers. Probably relatively soon, we'll be announcing some changes to our current philosophy, and so I'll leave it at that. But so to answer your question, right now, their company. Stay tuned. Sergio says, thank you for your work. You're very welcome. The better we take care of each other in this industry, the better and stronger voice we will have to make it good for truckers and shippers. I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I think that's been the struggle. If you've watched YouTube, right, we've sort of had this Truckers' Bill of Rights that's been floating around for a little while, and I think there's some good content in that. I think there's some good merit behind that. I think, I've been vocal in the last couple of videos, the last few days, about shippers are going to need to go through some changes. We as drivers or carriers are going to go through a large change with e-logs. I think it's probably even fair to assume that e-logs are having an impact on rates and things that we're seeing now. Shippers are going to have to make some of the biggest changes, right? I mean, hours of service are a restriction currently, right? I think most of us would agree with that. The biggest issue is when shippers are holding us almost hostage, which with the state of our economy and our country, I hate to use that word, but shippers do a lot of damage to our profitability, our revenue, when they hold us, when they don't have their act together. With rates as strong as they are, and with times changing, shippers really need to change their game, or they're going to have to compensate carriers and drivers pretty significantly, at least at current market rates, spot rates, if they're going to hold guys for 4, 6, 8 hours or longer, right? It's going to change. So that voice that we need to collectively have as the trucking community needs to be stronger. It needs to be cohesive. There needs to be a strong, cohesive message. And as we all know, especially with drivers, it's very difficult to get them to all agree on similar things. But I think it's going to be real important over the next 8 to 12 months within our industry. We do need to all come together and agree on a few points that are going to be important for us, again, to kind of come to cohesiveness to go to the market with. I think that's going to be really important. Stephen Miller says, what I would love to see is an experienced broker from a big firm, i.e. CH, Robinson, TQL, one of those, talk about how you become one of their go-to contractors. Not the corporate version, but the truth. Okay, so I actually have, let me share with you just a piece of that. So when we first started, we ran a lot for CH and a lot for TQL. We ran a lot for TQL because we also used them as a brokerage to help move our freight. So for those that are new, we are both a shipper, we're a receiver, and a carrier. And we ship a lot of products out. We use a lot of outside contractors, owner operators, those kinds of things, and we use brokers as well. And so for the first 2 years, we used TQL a lot. And so we also hauled a lot of their freight. It was kind of one of those give and take. A lot of these large brokers have scorecards. And so for us, we had hauled, I don't know, 100 or some odd loads for them in the first year, I think it was. Whatever it was. And we had 100% rating. We were one of the few companies that had carried that number of loads that still had 100% rating. So they keep a scorecard on you as a carrier. So when they ask you for your MC number, what they're doing is they're looking that up. If you have a good rating with a broker, use that to your advantage. That is worth more money. Again, go check out the video where I'm swinging the golf club, and it talks about turning perceived value into real value. What real value is for us in this industry is money. It's money, right? It's money. And so your relationship with these brokers, when you first start out, right, it's perceived value. Once you take a run or multiple runs or hundreds of runs for a broker, it quickly turns into real value. You need to be monetizing that real value. What that means is you need to turn that real value into money that goes into your pocket. And so those guys track your performance. And so if you perform well relative to picking on time, delivering on time, no real issues, that kind of stuff, you need to leverage that. We did as well, and we do it all the time. I don't care if I'm picking up the phone talking to whatever, ABC broker. I will let them know that we have hauled hundreds of loads for TQL and we have a perfect 100% rating with them. There's value to that. Oftentimes that leads to more money in our pocket. And so it kind of helps bridge that gap of perceived value to real value. So, and I'm sure there's a lot more to it from a broker standpoint, and I'm with you. It would be good to see. A brokerage is something that we're going to be creating here relatively soon. And so I'll have a little bit more insight from that side of the business that I'm happy to share as we learn it. Yes, it is, John Hall. You're absolutely right. It says, he's responding back to Stephen Miller's question. It says it's easy. Be the guy that the broker doesn't have to babysit, doesn't have to whine. And there is a lot of truth in that. There really is. Justin H. says, I have a question. Do you know any good places to get my CDL? So Justin, honestly, I've been asked that a lot, and I don't really know of any what I would call good places. I don't. I'm sure there are other guys in here that might have some opinions to lead you in the right direction, but I'm hesitant to give you an answer. DOT needs to get rid of the phantom 8th day. Yeah, I think many of us agree that the hours of service are the real issue, right? And it's not so much e-logs. And I've done a video. I did an older video. In fact, I've got it posted on this site now. And what I really should have said was, discussing hours of service more. Semantics played a role in that, but the message really is hours of service are an issue. Let's see. Nick says, I mentioned yesterday shippers were getting a taste of their own medicine. Yes. Can you and So-Cal? Well, so what I meant by that is right now there's some really, really crazy strong rates. I see So-Cal is deleting Cornelius. That's funny. They're actually friends, so don't nobody get too worried. So yeah, what I meant yesterday is right now there's some really, really strong rates in the industry. I mean, $4, $5, $6, $7 per mile rates. We were in a situation where a customer had either misled the broker or the broker misled us. I don't know where the miscommunication lies. What I can tell you is this, is we were in the dock and it was going to be a very, very long load. And so our driver had some issues with hours. And so that presented a legitimate out. I'm not a big fan of screwing partners, vendors, people we do business with, in this case the broker who we'd done other business with. But there was a legitimate issue with the fact that if our driver was going to take 6 or 8 hours to get loaded, he wasn't going to have the time to get to make the delivery on time. We also had another load booked through that same broker, very small window to and a very short deadhead to get loaded again. So it was going to implode 2 runs. And so I picked up the phone and I said, look, you guys are going to need to bounce us off this load. Truthfully, I wanted that to happen because the rate that we had on that load was good, but it was not nearly as good as other rates that were available that day. And so we got, I don't know, close to a $6 per mile rate on a 1,300 mile run. And so it worked out good for us. It worked out, I think, ultimately better for the broker because they could find somebody that did have the hours to get there. And so that's what I meant is shippers can't hold guys because product's not ready or they're not ready. So it's kind of a big deal. It really is. And so they're getting a taste of their own medicine because guys are going to be bouncing. What I mentioned in my other live feed is be really cautious because you will see a very quick change where customers and brokers are going to put terms and conditions in the rate confirmations, not allowing you guys to bounce and go find something else if they're going to have a long load, right? What you're going to hear are things like, hey, they're going to have to work you in, or this is going to be a little bit longer of a load. So they're going to get you on the hook by giving you a very ambiguous term that it's going to be a longer load. And so you're going to be sitting there for 6 or 8 hours. My example was, if we're making $7 a mile or $6 a mile, whatever it is, on a 2-day run, you can do the quick math, right? So there's several $1,000s on that run. If you are averaging $2,500 a day, and it's going to take you 6 hours to get loaded, how much revenue and profit did you just lose by sitting in that dock for 6 hours? So when you start to run those numbers, it does not behoove you to sit there for 6 hours. You want to find a load that you can get loaded on quick and get moving. And so they are getting the taste of their own medicine. I would expect them to create protection against carriers and drivers bouncing really soon. So we'll start watching your rate confirmation, start reading the changes. Sergio, yes. So I've been pretty vocal against a lot of the lease programs out there because I don't think that they are good for drivers. We have looked at lease programs, and the ones that we're trying to create are ones that we think are good for the company as well as good for the driver. That's why we have not created one yet. It's tough. I'm telling you guys, it's tough to try to create one that's good. Sounds simple, but it's not. All right, let me jump down here. Stephen Mill says, bounce conditions should work both ways. If you're late, you pay. And look, Stephen, let's be honest, right? If you have paid attention to rate confirmations in the past 4 or 5 months, you've seen, well, at least I have seen a significant increase in late fines on the rate confirmations if we were late to either a pick or a drop, right? So there are all these stipulations that are being laid on the carriers and the driver. We've not had any defense to start fighting back, right? If you start putting terms and conditions that say, hey, I want whatever, $150 an hour for detention. I want $800, $750 for a layover. If I want an increased rate for tonneau. All the broker had to do 6 months ago was say, no thanks, they'll go find another truck. Today's environment, it's different. I did a video 2 or 3 days ago and I said specifically this: now is the time for you to take action and create terms and conditions for you to put in front of a broker to get them to sign. Almost all over the country, excluding a few areas, the load to truck ratio is skewed so heavily in favor of loads, which means you as the driver having a truck available to take that load are in a powerful position right now. This market is not, brokers, shippers are not accustomed to this. And I can tell you, they are not going to like it because they have shoved a lot of stuff down our throats for the past several years. And now they are in absolutely very little control, and they're not going to like it. So now is the time for you to be getting terms and conditions in place to protect yourself. TJ's in the house. How are you? Taking a 34. Nice. Let's see. Let me jump down. So-Cal has a Penske truck. He's a fraud. That's funny. Guys, I'm going to keep this one short. It's almost 30 minutes. This will be a good time to shut it down. Again, sincere thank you to everybody. I'll add So-Cal on this. I'll edit this, So-Cal. I'll edit the title and I'll throw your name in. I'm being presumptuous that you'll do the same. So Listen, sincere thank you to Will, to Joe, Indiana Jack, Red Viking Trucker for sending some guys back over. It's frustrating to have grown the channel to a pretty decent size in a really short amount of time, and then to have have the legs cut out from underneath it was really frustrating. And but I appreciate all those guys for sending people back over. I'll do my part. I'll do my best to create some good content, and hopefully that's helpful. As always, you guys are welcome to make some comments, send some private messages. I'm going to have an email that I will try to check consistently. That's going to be thetruckingexec@gmail.com, and so you guys are welcome to send some stuff there. If you guys have some requests for content, I'll do my best to get that out in a timely fashion. And how about this? Perfect. I'll throw this over to So-Cal. If you guys are not familiar with So-Cal, look him up on the YouTube search bar. He's going to go live right now, it looks like, so it'll be a perfect opportunity to send it over there. Guys, as always, my opinion from this side of the steering wheel, sincere thank you to all the channels that have kind of pushed me in trying to get our subscriber count back. Thank you. Guys, go check out So-Cal, see what he has to say. Take care.